Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to be checking out the newly released Threezero Transformers War for Cybertron DLX Nemesis Prime. This figure is in fact a Threezero store exclusive I believe, and I managed to pick mine up at the most recent Summerfest, and there were only 40 units available, making this one of, if not the rarest, Threezero Transformers item ever. And I had to get this guy considering that he actually appeared in the Transformers War for Cybertron show, and to be honest with you, the figures turned out great. I always think that Nemesis Prime repaints look fantastic, and of course if they're done by Threezero, they're always going to be wicked. Now this guy is exactly the same as the previously released as well as previously reviewed over on the channel Threezero Siege DLX Optimus Prime. So for those of you who own that figure, you'll know exactly what to expect in terms of the mold as well as the accessories. So we'll very quickly just go over a few of the accessories. Of course we get the Ion Blaster looking fantastic, sculpted really nicely, and of course it's got that silver dry brushing. We also do get included one Battle Axe which looks awesome as well. You can see really nice attention to detail. However, this time of course we've got the Decepticon insignia as well as some really nice looking dry brushing going on there for the edge of the blade. And then we also do get a concealed version of the axe in the form of Nemesis Prime's shield, looking once again really impressive. You can see some of that fantastic wash applied over the top in order to give you its battle damaged appearance. And then we get a plethora of different hands, so I'll merely just go over a few. Of course we get a few trigger holding hands as well as a few more relaxed palms. We do in fact get two fisted hands which come pre-installed out of the packaging, and then we do get a few more dynamic expressive hands, and that pretty much wraps it up for accessories for Nemesis Prime. Of course we also do get included the DLX base, but for those of you who have watched some of my reviews, you guys know that 9 times out of 10 I do just tend to leave them in the packaging. But turning to the main event himself, as mentioned beforehand, a fantastic job. Nemesis Prime is one of my favourite colour schemes ever, and I think that this guy's turned out fantastic. He really does look exceptional and literally pixel accurate to what we saw from the show. Now if we bring him in here for a closer look, you can see in regards to the attention to detail, the face sculpt just looks fantastic. You can see all of these battle scars going across one of Prime's eyes. We've also got some nice dings and dents in the actual faceplate itself, and the entire helmet has also got that silver wash applied over the top, just to give you the impression that this version of Nemesis Prime has in fact been battling through the ages, as I also believe this version is a future incarnation of Optimus Prime. That's just what I gathered from the show, but of course the show wasn't the best in actually explaining its plot. But then as we turn our attention here to the torso region, you can see that awesome fire burst effect that we've got going on for the chest unit, and believe me, it only gets better when we get down to the LED electronic function. But you can see some really nice teal headlights there at the top, awesome cracked detailing going on here for the windscreen. As we just turn our attention down to the lower section of Prime, once again a fantastic amount of silver as well as this darker gunmetal dry wash applied over the top. Of course we've got the teal here for the hip skirts. As we turn our attention to the top, we've got the Decepticon insignia slap bang there on one of the shoulders. You've got some nice mech tech ports sculpted on the side, of course, considering this guy is significantly bigger when in comparison to his Voyager counterpart. These are not going to be able to hold any of the other War for Cybertron weapons, but I still think they're a really nice attention to detail, and you can once again see all of those various cracks and scars scattered throughout the armor of Prime. And then as we just turn our attention to the back section, once again those teal highlights as well as some fantastic sculpting and detailing. Honestly, this figure is exceptional, and not to mention incredibly weighty. I believe he's one of the weightiest DLX figures that Threezero have ever put together. He really does feel like a huge chunk of metal, and that's because most of the joints are in fact reinforced with die cast, which is just super cool. Another area which I absolutely love is if you actually lift the backpack section up, it does reveal some of the truck detailing, much like the Siege Voyager figure. So you can see here the front headlights as well as the grille, as well as this section which I believe was supposed to replicate the Matrix on the original version. I could be completely wrong, but that's at least what I always thought it was, as when you transformed him into truck mode, this section would go in the chest piece of Prime. But then as we turn our attention here to the side, you can see the wheels situated in the middle of the torso. Spinning our attention down to the lower section, very thick looking thighs once again with some excellent looking scarring as well as paint detailing. And then as we turn our attention to the shins, honestly this is just so awesome. You can see that black plastic that they've cast it out of, as well as some exceptional dry brushing. Really nice looking gunmetal going on there for the silver sections. The toes really nicely detailed, completely die cast as well, so are incredibly chunky. And then as we just turn our attention here from a side perspective, you can see the actual wheels there of Nemesis Prime, and the back of the figure cleans up impeccably well. Awesome detail as well as once again some fantastic looking sculpt work. So in all, a fantastic looking figure, honestly, literally 100% accurate to how he appeared on the show. So Threezero have knocked it out of the park where that is concerned, but believe me, it only gets better, especially when we get down to articulation. So here for the head sculpt, Nemesis Prime of course possesses a ball joint here at the main head which can look up, down, side to side, rotate left to right. However, he also has got a hinge joint here at the neck which allows you to excel that range of motion, allowing for a fantastic range. Really impressive. We turn here to the arms, we get full rotation. The shoulder pads can lift out to the sides in order to accommodate a hinge joint here at the shoulder, and then we also sort of get a butterfly joint here which allows us once again to maximize that range of motion. We also do in fact get a butterfly joint going in and out. Sadly it doesn't bend to a great degree due to the nature of the design, but still it's there and it does help to get him into some of those more dynamic poses. We We get a full rotation here at the bicep with double jointed elbows, which can bend to a terrific degree. Exceptional range there. We do in fact get double ball joints here for the fists, so these can rotate in pretty much every way you want. Here for the torso, it's exceptional, so we do get a double joint here, a bend at the top, and then a bend at the actual middle of the ab crunch, which allows that to crunch all the way forwards, which once again reveals some fantastic mechanical detailing, which is actually compressed when you have it in a more neutral position, which is super awesome. And these wheels can also in fact rotate for whatever reason, so that too is also an exceptional touch. And then if I just compress this so you guys see how those panels do overlap on one another, really awesome engineering. Of course, we can take this, tilt this side to side, we can rotate here at the waist, the full 360. As we turn our attention here to the skirt, these pieces are indeed on hinge joints, so we can just pull this section here out, and the actual hip is connected to a drop down joint, which is also made out of die cast, allowing you to get an exceptional range kicking out to the side. Once again, super dynamic. Of course, this can kick all the way back to that far. He can in fact do the split all the way. Full rotation here at the thigh, although it's slightly restricted due to the nature of the design, but you can pretty much get the range that you would want out of this. Of course, we do get a double joint here at the knee, completely reinforced with die cast, so this allows for, once again, a terrific range. Awesome there. And then as we turn our attention to the foot, honestly, this is super cool. So we can in fact extend this here, which allows the foot to pivot forward that far, back to that far, as well as rock side to side to a terrific degree. And of course, it can rotate left to right. And finally, the toe here is also on a hinge joint, and not to mention that these wheels, much like the one in the torso, are also fully rotatable. So overall, in regards to articulation, this guy's just stellar. He looks fantastic, poses well, and is just all round a fantastic premium piece. Now, much like the Siege Optimus Prime, Nemesis Prime possesses the exact same LED electronic function, so for that you will require two AG13 batteries, which are sadly not included. In order to actually access the battery compartment, you'll have to come here to the back, detach this section, which to be fair, you could also detach it if you didn't want this figure to actually have this installed, and you can see it does create for a much cleaner silhouette, and once again has been completely sculpted as well as painted. Now, there will in fact be a screw here. If you've watched my Optimus Prime review, you guys know that just for convenience I decided to leave the screw out, as you will have to continuously remove that in order to actually access the LED function, which is such a shame. But anyway, you just want to then reattach this after you've unscrewed this section, and that will allow you to take the entire head, pop this here clean off, and then you can insert the batteries here into the base, flick this switch, which will illuminate the eyes with a really piercing red. And then if we just reinsert this back into the chest, I'm not entirely sure how well it's coming across on camera. I'll be sure to post some darker lit photos, but honestly, it just looks so awesome. We've got the entire chest unit fully lit up, a really awesome fire burst effect. These tail lights here are also illuminated, and of course you've got those super menacing, piercing red eyes, which once again just matches his appearance from the show. And honestly, if you were able to take some killer photos of this guy, you would be forgiven for mistaking him for an actual CG render from the show. He looks that darn awesome. Here for a very quick Threezero DLX comparison. Of course, we've got their previously released Optimus Prime there on the left and the new Nemesis Prime on the right, and you can see that they're literally the exact same sculpt, much like we saw in the show, albeit the difference in color scheme really does help to set them apart. I just think the Nemesis Prime looks super intimidating and menacing when in comparison to, of course, the much more vibrant color scheme that we've got going on for Prime. But despite that, still as much detail, as much paint apps, and I think the dry brushing on both of these guys really is exceptional. So some final thoughts for the Threezero Transformers Siege War for Cybertron DLX Nemesis Prime. Overall, I think this figure is awesome. For those of you who have got their Optimus Prime, you'll know exactly what to expect. We've got all of the same bells and whistles that came with that release, especially where the accessories are concerned, but the detailing is just as good. Of course, this time he's dubbed in a red and black color scheme, which I've always absolutely loved. I've always thought that pretty much every version of Nemesis Prime has turned out exceptional, and to get it done here by Threezero this time, it's once again another knockout. It looks incredible, exactly how it appeared on the show, but considering this guy is going to be a little harder to obtain, considering he was produced in much limited quantities, and to be fair, he really didn't have a heck of a lot of screen time in the show, I'm not entirely sure whether or not this guy is going to be for everybody, as of course he's going to go for astronomical prices on the aftermarket. At the time of this recording, he is in fact out of stock on Threezero's store, so you really will have to resort to some of those places such as eBay and Amazon to actually pick this guy up, and he will no doubt go for double or in some instances triple the price. And considering he really only appeared on screen for, I'd say, roughly 2 minutes across the entire trilogy, I'm not entirely convinced that he is going to be to everybody's personal taste. But for those of you who are a fan of Threezero products, Nemesis Prime, then you're going to absolutely love this guy. I think he looks fantastic, and if you love the War for Cybertron Siege Optimus Prime design, then this guy honestly is a must-have. He's such a fantastic figure, and even if you don't like this particular rendition, even the Optimus Prime is just such a stellar release. So overall, I'm definitely incredibly happy to have this guy in the collection, even more so than when I actually picked up their Nemesis Transformers Bumblebee version, as of course that version never actually appeared on screen, whereas this guy did in fact. So So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do let me know down in the comment section below. As always, let me know whether or not you're going to be picking this guy up, or if you're just going to leave him and perhaps settle for either the Voyager class version, or of course the DLX version of Optimus Prime. I thank you all for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.